Hey, everybody, welcome to a special episode of the Printer Chat podcast. My name is Deborah Korn, intergalactic ambassador to the Printerverse, and I'm here with my two co-hosts, Jamie the Printer from DMRgraphics.com. Hello, Jamie the Printer.
Hello, everybody.
And Will Crabtree from TampaPrinter.com. Hello, Will.
Hello.
I love that voice. Today we have three special guests with us, starting with Warren Werbert. Wave to everybody, Warren. Warren is the founder, fisherman, speaker, and print enthusiast at warrenwerbert.com. We also have with us Robert Godwin. Wave to everybody, Robert. There you go. He is the senior brand manager at Rent-A-Press. And we also have with us, gentleman I like to refer to as Big Techs, Mr. Larry Vaughn. Besides being an industry legend, founder of D-Scoop and Think, amongst other things, he is currently the strategic account executive at Thomas Printworks. Gentlemen, welcome all to the show, including the co-hosts.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Great.
Welcome.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
So I wanted to treat this podcast like a panel, and I'm going to start with a general question, which is, what is literally happening right now in your world, and how have you needed to adjust during the pandemic? I'm going to start with the co-host, because we also like to do a little catching up about what has been going on. Jamie, let's start with you, because last we heard the Swiss Q was on its way, or was going almost in customs, but it should be with you around now, yes?
Yes, Swiss Q landed on Monday, started installing. That was an exciting day. So the last 3 days it's being installed. Today we had a nasty tornado storm late yesterday that kind of knocked the power out, so pushed back a little bit, but we'll be up and running tomorrow. We're looking forward to that. So yeah, all kinds of fun things going on in our world. So it's nice. It took forever to get here. So, but so far so good. Excited.
And in general, how have you had to adjust everything that you've been doing during the pandemic from a creative print strategist standpoint?
How have we had to adjust? We adjusted like every printer started in the beginning. We started doing plastic masks, face shields. We moved into signage for restaurants for curbside signage. We've moved into directional signage, floor graphics like crazy, sneeze guards. Everybody hates that term, so now everybody's just calling them barriers. We've been making a lot of those. We had a shipment go out yesterday with like 60 different panels. We've been buying up acrylic as soon as it's available, and any type of clear PVC, whatever weights we can get. And yeah, we've been just changing things on the fly. We started our, as you know, cleanhandsalways.com. We're putting things on there. We had 25,000 face masks arrive the other day. They'll be on there. And we started with DMR Graphics. We started BeWelladelphia.com, which is going to be our charity function that's going to serve the Phil Abundance, the food network in Philadelphia. So that's all getting launched. I think our press release just went out. Hashtag BeWelladelphia. We have a giant banner on our building, and we're looking forward to getting that going. So we're going to have swag for sale, and all the proceeds will go to Phil Abundance. So it's been exciting.
That's so cool, Jamie the Printer. Will the Printer, what's going on in your world?
Well, things have started to pick back up a little bit. Things kind of come in waves. Everybody wants everything yesterday, which is kind of what we do. So we get really, really busy, and then we get kind of slow. But we've pivoted a lot. We have 4 new businesses that we've launched in the last 30 days. So we got the PPP. We brought our entire staff back, and utilizing that time and taking the opportunity to expand on our social media, expand on our digital presence, launch these other brands and these other companies, doing pivots into other ecosystems and other services and products, and trying to plan for tomorrow while we sustain for today.
And I mean, you've made quite a few adjustments during the pandemic, including opening a new store, closing a new store and reopening your store again.
Yeah.
How's the second store going, and what else has really shifted for you, since this all started?
Well, the second store, it was just starting to get legs when we had to close it. But surprisingly, when we reopened it's like we didn't stop. So we've had people coming in. We're doing new orders. We're kind of reestablishing ourselves in the neighborhood. I've actually been spending more time there. To be honest, before the pandemic and the shutdown, I didn't spend much time at the second store. I kept myself really occupied at the main location and had planned on going and spending a couple weeks working out of the second store, and everything happened, so I didn't do that. So I've actually been working at the other store, kind of getting it going. We've got some of the new projects that we're working on from a manufacturing standpoint are actually coming out of the second store. We've got a whole new bot farm that we've built with doing a lot of marketing and some other crazy guerrilla shit. So it's really kind of moving a lot faster than it did before we had the break. So it's really exciting to see kind of as things are going to evolve and develop, all the work that we've been putting in the last couple of months, and how it's going to evolve.
That's really cool. But once you said that, Jamie and I both perked up because we know you're plotting something that we'll be stealing next week probably. Larry, you are technically the only other person who specifically works with the print shop. How what's going on? First of all, what's going on in your world, and how has Thomas Printworks been adjusting to this current situation?
Well, first of all, I want to tell you, of course, I was a business owner for 44 years, and Thomas Printworks was my customer, and they acquired me. And they asked me to stay on, which was, I was thrilled for them to ask me to stay on. And of course, my wife told me she didn't care if I retired, just make sure I was out of the house by 8, don't come home till 5. So, and I'm honoring her on that. But they have done what other good businesses have done. I mean, they had to make cuts. They had to make furloughs. They had to adjust, and it was tough. It really was tough. And then, of course, I'm remotely working, which is very unusual for me because I've always been kind of a hands-on, and I love dealing with the customers and then also with the employees because they've been with me for a number of years. But we're re-looking at ourselves. We're having virtual sales meetings. We have it every Wednesday morning, 10 o'clock, and we have our speakers come in and different products, and which has been very, very nice. So we've enjoyed that. And Brian Thomas, I mean, he really stepped up. He did. I mean, he has a State of the Union pretty much every day. He sends out an email and says where we're at, what we're doing, and this is what's happening, good things, bad things, and acknowledging some of the staff where they've kind of stepped up, because it's a lot of, just internally, just to keep everybody settled down so you can continue to run a business. And so I think he's done a great job on that. And one of the guys that I was talking to, and he said, well, I can't wait till we get back to normal. And I told him, I said, you tell me what normal is. It's not going to be like it was before. Yeah. It's really not. So I think, all in all, we're just trying to continue to adjust to where we are today. And I think we've all done a good job.
Robert, I'm going to go to you next. What's happening in your world, and how have you adjusted during the pandemic?
Well, I'm going to say that I haven't had to adjust a tremendous amount in terms of the sales portions of it, because I'm really dependent upon people going to the website and purchasing what they need. The impact was on the people that I service, because I'm essentially a wholesale trade provider, and the print resellers, whether they're a small print shop or an independent with a variety of customers, are in a position where their customers weren't ordering because they didn't know what was going to be happening. So our sales took a huge hit. I'll throw out a couple of statistics and percentages. I'm 16% behind what my goal would be for this quarter, but I'm 16% over year from last year. So sales have increased, but 2 weeks ago, I was 25% under my goal rate. So there was, I'm going to say it was a short period, and then people started demanding things. I don't have a direct touch with the customers who are actually using the print product, but for the people who order it, the ones I speak to, it's a 20-80 rule. 20% of my customer base is who gives me most of my business. I try to reach out to them and speak to them. So they've said that people are just starting to order now, and they're being aggressive, and so I'm happy. The other side of it, which has impacted me tremendously, is my goal is to turn Rent-A-Press into a global play. Essentially, we're on 3 continents right now, and I want to move it to a 4th continent. So I've been working on China. So you can imagine that the impact first hit in China, where they just shut everything down and I couldn't do anything. So then I pivoted to the EU, and I planned, I think I talked about it before in other venues, of going to both, I was in Spain, Germany, Czechoslovakia, and Holland in the UK. All of my meetings, except for 2, canceled because I was chasing the pandemic. And they would call, and literally in Amsterdam, I was at the front door of the place, and I rang the bell. This was upstairs where the designers were. And I finally called them, and I said, nobody's answering. He says, oh, we've all gone home. We're very concerned. And I was chasing the shutdown. I travel quite a bit to be able to do the international work. All of that has been on hold. So growth has been stunted for that. I won't feel the impact of that growth until Q1, because that's when my efforts now would reveal themselves. So that's been where my challenges have occurred.
That's actually a great point about the growth. Before I get to Warren, I just have a quick follow-up question. What was, could you pinpoint what came back that to be ordered that created that chunk of growth in that small period of time? Was it all concentrated on wide format clings and things like that, or was it bigger stuff?
No, it was, I have a very limited product line. It's extremely conservative. There are things that I know that sell. And shocking as it is, I didn't chase any of the new opportunities, which I think is great if you have the firepower to be able to do that. I buy capacity from other printers. So whatever they do, I can do. I don't want to buy iron. Every printer has capacity. I don't care what anybody says. Nobody's using their presses, certainly now, beyond 80%. So I'm an alternative for them. I'll never support a company, but I will be able to give them some extra orders and work for certain things. I am expanding into some products like masks and stuff. But the feedback, you're going to die, is in this most standard things: flyers, brochures, business cards. I've sold over 50,000 business cards in the last 3 weeks. Go figure, because that's a hand-to-hand operation.
Yeah,
in
it's
an
actually
era
one
where
of my
we're wearing
questions.
gloves. Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, that's crazy. But congratulations, I guess. I don't know who's using these business cards. I'd be interested. Okay,
Well, a lot of them
Warren.
are in Texas. I'll give you the hint. A lot of them are in Texas.
Really?
So, yeah.
Jamie, did you have something to say?
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I gave out business card today.
You
First time in
did?
a while. Yes.
Will, you still churning business cards over there?
Absolutely.
Wow, I'm very surprised at that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Warren Werbert,
Ooh.
what is happening in your world right now? And I know that you've really had to adjust during this pandemic. What's been going on with you?
Well, in my personal world, I've basically come to a crashing halt because there is no real paid speaking to be had. A lot of free Zoom calls and everyone getting together, which has actually been unbelievable because look at the people that you meet. Kind of rebuilding in the sense of trying to build up my own brand to help people. We are definitely headed into a I don't even know what to call it anymore, right? Just we're headed on a different journey. And around me, I'm working with some people that actually get it from the print world, and pulled out some of this COVID-19 banners and all the stuff that went along with it. I helped my brother set up a website to sell the stuff, just so you get to tell the customers that you're here. But I'm looking at a whole lot of other print companies that don't seem to have done too much. And I'm concerned we're going to lose a bunch, but if we really lose a bunch, it's going to affect other aspects of it. The volume of paper, it's going to cost more for everyone else. And then today, actually, I just heard of 3 large retailers that went bankrupt, or no, filed for protection in Canada. And that has a huge trickle-down effect. So I've kind of been trying to figure out what the real damage is going to be and to who. I just saw a report from one retailer where one print company was hit for about $300,000 of signage. Doesn't matter how big you are today, right? That's hurtful.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at that, and for myself, I'm just trying to connect with people and try and stay a little positive because I got to see where the shakeout is.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I've been doing a presentation, and in it, I just quoted Business Insider from May 21st that by the end of the year, they're predicting 12,000 retail locations will shut down, and these are like Pier One Imports, Macy's, Victoria's Secret, like the store, the retail
JC
stores that
Penney's.
have
Yeah.
J.C. Penney. So there is carnage to come for sure. For print that served those spaces. But, in my mind, there's another opportunity. For example, if I'm in a city where there's a Pier Import and it's closing down, somebody who needs a vase is now displaced. Either they're going to buy it on Amazon, or I need to find someone in my local community that sells vases or vases, however you choose to pronounce it, and get some direct mail out there to the community. This is my one chance to tell everybody you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to shop on Amazon. You can come into a store and buy this. I want to focus a little now on how the pandemic has changed the sales funnel, and will it adjust back or will it continue to evolve? And I really loved your point about things now are going to affect moving forward, Robert. So would you like to take this question first, since you made a poignant point about it?
Sure. Yeah, this is now is when you need to plant the seeds, to use a tired analogy, but it's really the issue of being able to understand where the needs are going to arise. I think chasing what was, because we don't know how they've been affected completely, is futile. So while I'm sticking to my grand plan of global expansion, I don't know the full effect of what it's had on the different areas. So it's going to require not so much a rethink, but a review of what's vital in those areas, what kind of businesses are going to be there. My personal opinion, and I tend to be data oriented. I read about what's going on and where money's being spent, because if you follow the money, you find the business. And if one of the things that I see, you're not going to, this could be difficult to swallow, I think, for a lot of people. I don't think brick and mortar is going away. I think small brick and mortar is coming back. And I think that there's an attraction to it for personal business. And I've written about this before, quite some time ago, actually, when I went in and gave a speech to some, not a speech, but a presentation to some marketing students at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. And they gave me the feedback. Print is new to them, so it has something that's exciting that we're all too jaded to really understand. And they like going to small little places and getting stuff. It makes them feel special. I'll just leave it at that. So I don't think that there's a problem in finding the smaller businesses that have something that they need to do for marketing. And I do think that they're open to all channels of marketing. I'm not prejudiced against it. I use all channels. I use email, I use social media, and I will start using direct mail, along with offering direct mail. It's a new product service for me, because I believe that people don't mind getting stuff in the mail. I just don't. I don't think it's what it was. I don't care what it was.
Right. Will, the printer, you were agreeing with Robert. You want to make a comment about that?
I do agree with Robert. I think there is a paradigm shift that's going to occur. It's already occurring. You have businesses that are local businesses that want to support other local businesses. So they're going to seek out, no matter what the service, no matter what the product is, they're going to seek out other local businesses, your big box stores, which are already suffering. We're seeing all these companies that are filing for bankruptcy. They're going out of business, filing for protection. They're going to go away to an extent. Your big boys are always going to be there. Your Targets, your Walmarts, your Amazons are always going to be there. But when you're talking about service and you're talking about something that requires customization, which is what we do, there is going to be an element of loyalty that's going to come from people wanting to seek out local businesses, and a lot of your online big boys are going to suffer as a result.
And your sales are primarily online because that's your specialty. That's not true anymore, or I mean, how has your sales funnel adjusted at all in this? I would honestly think that you were the best off of anybody here.
So yes, I am my sales funnels primarily come online, but we are not an online printer. Even though we have online ordering, we're still local. Like you can go online at 1 o'clock in the morning and place your order, but you can pick it up in the shop the next day rather than wait a week and a half to get it. And it's still local. Like it's Tampa printer. If you're in Tampa, you're going to order from us. So we market and advertise ourselves and utilize the online channels the same way as your other unnamed online printers do, but we do it in a local way. So that's the big differentiation or big differentiator of what we do versus the big online printers, is that we create the experience, but we back it up with the online presence.
Jamie, has your sales funnel changed since the pandemic? And are you talking to people in the agencies yet? Are they talking to anybody?
The sales funnel has changed. Like I said, first it was, we're here to help. These are the next steps. These are if you're opening, which is coming soon in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, places are starting to open. Here's the program. We can help you with opening. So we've been doing all that. Some of the agencies, yes, I've been talking to agencies and some customers. Everybody seems excited about what's coming in the next few months. We've got a couple people with launches that are happening. But yeah, it's all been kind of hurry up and wait kind of. Yes, everything's going. Here's this order, this order, this order. The art's not finalized yet. It's going to take another couple days, a week, 2 weeks. So we've been just kind of letting everybody know we're here, keeping everybody, hey, this is what's going on, keeping them informed. These are the new materials. We're still here for you. Everybody's in the plant ready to go. When you're ready, we're ready. So I see everybody's just kind of hovering, waiting, and it's going to move. Like I have customers opening this back up this week, which is great. They've been closed for 3 months, but I have customers that are still working from home, and they said they're not opening their office up again until September, which is like a huge national company, but they're all working from home. So, and they're going to go through a rebranding this summer. So there's a lot of things going on. Everything will be done for when they come back in September, which is kind of crazy. So they've been working with a couple agencies. We've been working with them. So people are planning and staging things, but it's just taking a little bit longer than normal. That's what I've been seeing.
A couple of episodes back, you laid out an epic sales plan, messaging plan for the year.
Yes, the marketing plan.
That
We're still
pie in
working on
July.
that.
We love the pie in July. Have you veered from that at all, or are you still full steam
We're
ahead?
still mainly doing our monthly mailers and reaching out to, these are our monthly plans. So we're still doing it. We're still doing pie in July. Anybody that places an order over a certain amount will get a pie. All our top customers will get a pie. Hopefully we'll be able to go see them and deliver the pie rather than ship it to them. But yes, we'll see. But yes,
Well,
we're still doing our marketing, our monthly marketing.
Will and I
want a
wanted in
pie.
the shipments
pie?
of pies. We didn't know
Okay.
they were being shipped.
Well, we're supposed to hand deliver them. That's the idea.
I
So
know,
you get
but
in front
now
of people.
No, I want apple
You
or
want
pecan.
apple pie? Okay.
Yeah.
Dutch apple for me.
Okay.
Do they come with ice cream?
Yes, we
Yes.
can
Big
arrange
scoop
that
of
too.
Freeze
vanilla
packed.
ice cream.
There's a
Um,
Pennsylvania company that does dry ice and ships ice cream. I've sent it to people before. It's great.
Oh, that's
A
very cool.
Sunday in a box. It's pretty cool.
Oh, actually, someone's looking for those thermal boxes. If you actually know how to get anybody, I got a request from it on LinkedIn today. Larry Vaughn,
Yes, ma'am.
how has the pandemic changed the sales funnel? I mean, you mentioned it in the beginning. You're such a personality. You're such a one-on-one meeting. Let's have some coffee. I mean, how have you adjusted, and has it impacted sales?
Yeah, well, I can tell you right off the bat, it impacted sales. But I'm an old school printer, Deborah. I still go out and see customers, and I don't see very many of them right now. But that was my model, and that's kind of the model that Thomas has now. People are still buying print. I mean, it's just a little different. You might have to hustle your ass off just a little bit more, in order to get it. And sometimes it's very competitive in price, but they know if you've got the service to offer, well, usually, price comes second. But going back to what Robert was saying about direct mail, direct mail business is a good business for us. We do quite a bit of direct mail. I mean, we got our own post office inside the shop, and so we can get mail out a little bit quicker than everybody else. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Whataburger. They're good old Texas hamburger. Of course, they were just acquired by a company out of Chicago. But anyway, there's still about 300 and some odd locations, I guess it is. Their direct mail business just absolutely just shot up. I mean, with us, because they were, coupons and advertising, curb delivery and saying, yes, we are open. Here's all of our locations. So I think, just all the sales guys, they just need to rethink kind of what they're doing, who they're going to call on, who they're seeing, and be a little more focused instead of just going out and say, hey, I'm going to call on that big building. I know there's somebody in there. So you got to do your homework before you just take out. But it's still good. It's just different. And one other thing I was going to tell you, it's different for me because it's a newer technology that I'm actually having to be forced to do. And I always had people do it for me. So I'm trying to learn. I call my son, and he helps me out. I said, Dad, this is what you got to do. And I said, okay. But and one of the other things I was going to say, you're going to see more and more new technology that's going to be developing that's going to enable us to work from home and work remotely. And that's what I'm concerned about on the conferences, and what's going to happen to them. There's going to be a big change in that.
Will, you had a question?
I did. I just have like an add-on, and it's really interesting to hear the other side. So Larry, I have no outside salespeople. I do nothing but digital marketing and online advertising, and all of my clients come to me. I don't have anybody out in the field. And during this time, I've sat here and I said, well, I missed the boat. Like if I had outside salespeople that were out touching and communicating and contacting, we would have gotten more work. So it's really interesting to talk to someone and hear from someone that's on the opposite side of the spectrum that does everything on that hands-on and hear the same sort of experience of like, hey, if we had done this. So I think that everybody right now is suffering regardless of what your sales channels are. And it's all going to diminish and reduce regardless of how you're doing business. And the thing that is important here and what's important to learn is that you can't focus on one side. You can't do nothing but digital and online marketing, and you can't focus and do nothing but face-to-face sales. You have to do a combination of both.
I 100% agree. And also, I mean, we've established in a previous podcast that you do such a great job of being the answer when someone's searching for something, but then if they don't bite, you don't follow up. And then that's where you lose everything at the end. So, well, not everything, but a combination of a little, we've always said a little Jamie and a little Will goes a long way. Warren, you're not necessarily selling print right now, but as you said, your brother's still running the shop, and you have been immersing yourself in discussions with printers. So what is your opinion on that? How has the pandemic changed the sales funnel, if at all? And if not, should it? And what could it be in your crazy Warren Warbert brain?
Well, for starters, my brother's in the labeling business, and he's actually been on fire throughout this whole thing. The problems he's had is he's doing all the proper stuff, but people live in this moment of fear, and they don't want to go anywhere. So you have all this work, and you can't get it out. He's worked through it, and people are coming in and they work with the distancing, but it's been pretty crazy. All the pre-press people are working from home, so all the files are going, and like everyone else, I think labeling just with the way things are done, maybe not as complex in passing it around, getting it on. So they've been pretty good, and their customers have been food, nutraceutical, um, not toy companies and stuff like that. It's all the essential services. People have been paying quickly just because they're trying to get the service quickly, so it's been pretty good. Only time will tell how long that lasts at the pace that it's been. But I think they're in the labeling world and talking to packaging people of folding carton, they've been on fire too. Same issues trying to get people in, but when the people are in, it's nonstop around the clock because everything is being boxed and moved out. Other printers that I've talked to, some I think are behind the eight ball. I think Montreal, for instance, has been pretty much locked down and just opened up about a week ago. And we live in a culture where everybody's pretty not moving too quick to begin with and a little behind the times. So I think we lost some edge there to a lot of people. The ones that are good are running 50%. Out of the 50%, part of it is safety equipment that they're managing to do in large format. I'm also seeing on the market goods coming in from overseas and a roundabout that are half the price of a plastic visor. So I'm hoping not too many people moved up on that. Going forward, some of the major retailers that had filed had head offices in Montreal. So there's going to be some of the decent sized printers that are going to feel the effect twofold. No cash coming in for the goods that were for the last season prior to the pandemic, and then loss of customer and capacity. And what I've seen happen here in the past is the big guy then trickles down into the smaller man's territory and finds ways and maneuvers to offer it less expensive, doing different things. So I'm a little concerned for who's going to survive this here and who's not. The people that will survive will get a good grasp and take it on. So I think in all markets, for those that survive, the survivors will do well. In the end, the question is there enough runway for all these companies to make it to that point?
So you bring up a good point, and it's also something that Warren, you and I have been discussing in, whether it's we see each other in these Zoom things or we've had a private conversation about it, but I want to address the topic of payment and credits, especially with the fact that there will be customers shifting around. Maybe their printer didn't come back or can't help them anymore, or worse, maybe they didn't pay that printer and now they're looking for someone else to do business with. So how are you going to address, or how do you think a printing company should address reviewing the financial viability of a new client? And do you get your payment up front, or are you still on invoices where you bill them at the end? Will, I know you had a problem with fraud, so why don't we start with you, because I tried to tell that story and I don't think I told it clearly.
I mean, I still have $40,000 in invoices out on the street right now, and I'm a diligent pay up front shop. The invoices that I have on the street right now, I'm confident that I'll collect at least 80% of at some point. I haven't been, about 30 of it was before things started, so I haven't been, chasing people down. I've still been doing work for some of them, and it's kind of been a trade-off. Like, you pay me for today, even though you still owe me for yesterday, sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, we've been hit with fraud where people have ordered stuff using fake credit cards. We've gotten chargebacks over the biggest bullshit. I mean, everybody's looking for a handout right now. So, I would, for me, anybody new coming to the table, you're paying me for regardless. If I don't have a relationship with you, I'm not giving you terms. I don't give a fuck. Pardon my French. But it's the Wild West. It has been for a long time, but even more so now. It is the Wild West. You got to get paid. What we do is custom. You can't sell it tomorrow to somebody else. So if you're not paid today and you don't collect, then you're out, and it's not worth the risk. So at the very least, and even if you take a credit card, you're still rolling the dice because they can charge it back. But at least you got something and you have a leg to stand on. So get paid. don't give terms to new clients unless they're fucking, I don't even know. I can't think of a company right now that I would give terms to. Maybe Walmart or Amazon. Other than that, like, yeah,
Disney, Netflix,
Disney,
any
yeah, there you go.
Netflix. Yeah, that's HBO. That's about it for me. Jamie, how are you guys handling it?
A little bit like Will, same thing, and it brought in a bunch of new customers. They are pay up front. We just got an order with $34,000 of acrylic, which I was like, yes, sure, we're going to do this job. But, you need to send us a wire for the acrylic before it leaves our supplier. We'll cut the PO. When the money clears, the acrylic will be on the truck and we'll get it. So yeah, and smaller companies, the same thing. We'll send out all the credit applications, all the forms. But yeah, we take a look at that. We need money up front. Some of our best customers, they're a little bit behind. Some of this a couple of them are 60 days behind or more because all this happened. Some of them closed. So they're like, as soon as we get open, we'll be fine. We'll go back and we'll go back. But yeah, there's a little bit of money still out in the street, but we have POs for all of it. And anybody new, we need to look at them very closely, get all the paperwork filled out, get their credit card, make sure it's, as Will said, make sure it's the right credit card, and get payment up front when you can, and not leave too much money out on the table. As you say, it's, this job is for you, not for anybody else. It's not like I
Right.
can sell it to somebody else. So.
Mr. Vaughn, you seem to me like you're the guy who takes somebody's handshake as their word, and this might be a little bit of a shift. How are you handling, I need the money up front or I can't help you?
Well, we're kind of like Will. I mean, if it's a new customer, there's a reason they're a new customer. So you've got to really, chase them down and say, well, did they not get their stuff at another location? And so now they're coming to us. But no, we upfront new customer, we take it. But now I will tell you that some of my long-term customers, I mean, during the COVID, well, then they're asking for, instead of 30-day terms, well, they're asking for 60 and 90-day terms. Okay. And we review them. I mean, I'm not going to say we're not going to give it to them, but we do review them. A lot of my accounts are oil and gas. Well, you know what happened with all the oil and gas, and Halliburton, big company here in town, they've laid off thousands of people, which is a customer of mine, unfortunately. But they still do a little business with me, not near as much. But yeah, and we have to pick up the tempo on collections. You can't let it slide. Well, I'll call them next week. No, it is due today. You need to call them today, okay, and see where they're at on it. Because a lot of times, they hadn't paid because either there's not a PO on it, not a delivery ticket with it, and so there is, things like that need to be addressed. But we're, cash is king. We keep it close to the chest.
Before I get to Robert, Will, did you have a comment or just a hand gesture?
No, I was just hand gesturing. Yeah, a little bit.
So,
Go ahead, Warren, then we'll get to Robert.
So yeah, I was just going to say, just the suppliers to our industry want to be paid. And if they're not paid on time, they do not ship. They've been battered for years and they don't put up with a lot. So we got to, fight for it. But I will say all industry is in the same boat today, right? It's any of the people that I talk to, friends, everyone's asking for money, and I just said it in the video, anyone who says, don't worry, you got to get out of there. Right? Because everyone's got to be willing to have a conversation with you, because everywhere down the chain, it's the same thing. And if everyone doesn't want to do anything, then nothing goes anywhere.
Yeah, I think we're still down to it's the commercial real estate rents that really aren't moving. They still want to get paid for their spaces. Everybody needs their money, as you said. Robert, how's it with you? How do you handle it when you're kind of doing a lot of one-offs?
Well, it's primarily one-offs, but it's all credit card up front, pay up front, and there is an aggressive back office if there are any issues with it. But we use an outside service. We don't handle any of the private financial data, so it's a third party that processes all of the credit card transactions, and so they're responsible for validating that the card, meets the criteria for a secure transaction. And that's it. We have no plans, nor will I support offering terms. There's no point in my marketplace to do that. I'm not after the Disneys and the Universal Studios and things where, frankly, I came from. And as you know, because you came from the agency world,
Oh, we're
one of
not
our
going to
large,
pay anybody.
no, they're not. I mean,
No
Ogilvy and
way.
Saatchi were the
We're
worst.
not paying. They're not paying anybody. Nope.
And 90, 120 days, and they said, do you really want the next campaign or not? And eventually, yes, they paid, but it was the eventual. So you became a bank. Now, I did work for a company that used the bank process because they did tons of direct mail. And my client, I personally processed over anywhere between 250 to 400,000 first-class mailings a week. It was for a large hospital chain, and there
On
were
credit cards?
larger. What's that?
On credit cards?
Oh God, no. This was
Oh,
prior,
okay.
and with another company. And the attraction to use them over a big player like Donnelly was the fact that they would bank for them. They would bank the direct mail postage costs, and so they had the money to do it. They're cash rich, and they said, "Okay, we'll do that," and that got a lot of business for them. And but they were strict about getting paid on those terms, and it was based on their cycle of billing when they got paid. So it worked. Now, this is not unusual. This is something, in case anybody cares, one of my clients in my long history, was Kubota Tractor. And I was privy to a program they were doing with IBM to help farmers, because farmers' income is very seasonal. And so they would buy a piece of equipment, a tractor, and the payments were scheduled around when the farmer's income was planned to come in. And so that was similar to what this printing company did. They're a very sophisticated financial organization, is the parent owner. And so they were able to structure it so that they could get business because we'll be your bank. It works when you can do that. I don't want to be in that business, and I won't be somebody's bank. They can pay for it. We have very liberal and aggressive quality standards, so that if it doesn't meet the quality, they send us a picture of something that was bad, we'll replace it. And we don't make a hassle out of it. It costs too much money to spend time on the phone. If I can reduce a phone call or time on the phone, I reduce a very expensive cost of personal help. And the less time somebody spends on the phone, the more chance I have to make a profit on any given transaction.
I've had more conversations with CFOs saying, "Hi, so that job we have for the big brand that's supposed to be in the mail tomorrow, unless I give the printer a credit card right now for what we owe them, they're not printing for us." Jamie probably has been in that situation where you're like, "I'm really sorry, but
Once or
unless you give me a
twice.
credit card for something, you can't go any further here." Will,
It's
did you have
not
something to
shipping.
say?
No, I had a question for Robert. So you mentioned earlier that you have a credit card company or a credit card processor. I'll use quotes with processor that's handling all of your financials. Are they? Is it like just an actual credit card processor, or is it a third party like middleman, to where if you do get a charge back, that they're taking care of that and it's all on
No,
the up and up, or is it's just a processor that you have a
it's a
relationship
processor. Yeah, it's a
with? So
standard. I can
if you
send you the information offline if you want.
yeah, no,
For that,
please.
I'd actually have to get it from my accounting department because they have shifted. But we support all forms of payment, various credit cards, and they all have different rules. And people want to use this card or that card. So we try to support all of that to make this part of it easier. Like Amex is always a pain in the ass, but a lot of people want to use Amex. I have an Amex card for business. So, I understand why people want to be able to do that, because they could have a big project coming in and they need to spend $5,000 right now. And so Amex will allow them to do that. However, Amex charges metaphorically an arm and a leg to be able to do that transaction. But do you want the business or not? I want the business.
So it just again I'm coming to a point here. But if someone does make a charge back to your company, whether it's you or someone else in your organization, you still have to dispute that and go to bat. And even though you have the policies of if there's an issue, you take care of it, as long as you've got photographs and what have you. But even that can go past the point of resolution, or some things don't even get brought to your attention and they just go straight to a chargeback point. So if that does come through on your side, you still have to go through the disputation process.
Okay, well, I may be tempting the devil here, but I've had no chargebacks in the last 10 months that I've been working on this.
I'm knocking on
Nice.
wood for you. Everybody knocking on wood.
Yeah,
Thank
right.
you,
Well,
Wood
everybody.
is being knocked on.
What are you,
it-
insane?
Well, you're dealing with printers, so like they have a little bit of a better, they know it more and they probably feel bad. So I'll give you that.
Oh,
I think a lot of times that is in fact the case, is they understand that, I'm just going to say it, not every single job comes out perfect or on time. And so there's, we are very clear, if there is any conversation or any email exchange that takes place, order with ample time. I have a product line that I've offered on specific for political campaigns, and I'm being very narrow about who I'm selling it to. I'm not selling it to the large. I'm going for neighborhood canvassing, and because of that, there's certain products that are available for that. Because there's a variety of products, they have different manufacturing cycles. In terms of, something can be produced in 2 days, other things takes 5 days. Some things are very expensive to ship. We want to ship it long, meaning that we want them to use what we call our free shipping, our prime shipping. We give it to them for free. And then, it's buried in the cost, so it's not really free, but it's there. So if they order in time, they can take advantage of that and reduce their actual expense. But the items are going to be shipped separately. When they're ready, they go out of the shop. We have, I'm going to say, as close to a lights out processing facilities for these products as you can get. But because I use outside vendors, I can't change their manufacturing process. I'm more price sensitive with them. And I go with their cycle. If it takes 10 days, it takes 10 days. So they're going to have to be prepared to receive the variety of products that they offer over a 5, 6, 7 day spread. And that's clearly outlined in what's there. So I think that those are things that you just need to manage the client's expectations of what's possible. Uh-oh. Oh, man.
Larry's back.
Larry fell. He fell down.
I've got my son's dog here with me.
Okay.
I'm
The
going to
dog,
use that.
a
the
camera
dog
dog.
ate his Zoom meeting. That's
And
an
Robert, I'm not trying to pick on you in any way, shape, or form. I'm
Not
trying to kind of bring some of the information out.
Sure, no problem.
I've been in the same boat as well. I went 5 years without a chargeback, and I've had 5 in the last 60 days. So
Yeah.
there's a shift that's happening with that, and I, as a printer, like I'm not going to charge back anything unless it's, there's some really bad shit, and I'm not doing it to a printer. But there's a lot of shifts that are happening, and things that wouldn't normally happen are starting to happen a lot more frequently.
Yeah.
Well, I have an issue with Yelp right now, so it's not. It's not.
Don't get me started on Yelp.
Don't get him started on Yelp. Okay, I'm pretty sure you guys know, at least some of you come to Print Chat every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitter. And this week I played a game called Pick One, which is one of my favorite games because you can only pick one. There is no both. There is no depends upon the customer. You can only pick one and explain your choice. So this one is called Gear Up, the Pick One Speed Round. So I'm going to name 2 different printing technologies, and you tell me the one that you think every print shop should have and why. And Robert, you played this. Jamie, you might have seen some of it.
I saw it. Yes.
You saw all of it. It doesn't matter. You can, I don't remember
I
all
answered
of your
them. I
answers.
was a couple hours late. I answered.
But so we're going to actually start with Larry.
Yeah.
Larry, digital packaging or digital labels?
Digital labels.
Why?
Because every friend that I have that has digital has label business. They just swamped. I've never seen anything like it. I think Warren might have mentioned his brother, the same thing. So I think that here again, I'm going to go back to the printers. If they're going to invest in equipment, they're going to invest in technology, they really need to do research on it. Is this really going to be a piece of equipment that's going to make me money? Or is it just, hey, look at my new toy, that type deal. So no, digital labels, hands down.
Jamie the printer, digital packaging, digital labels.
Well, I answered this in print chat as digital packaging because I've been getting so much packaging. But after hearing Warren and Larry, I don't know.
Well,
There's like
labels
everybody
have
they
to
know,
go on
label people are
something.
only busy. But it's been weird. The last 6 months, I've been overwhelmed with people needing short run packaging. So it's all custom. So I'm going to stick with digital packaging for now because labeling it's not what we're going to do. And I'll go to Warren or Larry or somebody else who has it for labeling. But right now, my customers are asking for packaging. I'm sticking with it.
Warren?
If I have to give one, I'm going to go with packaging. I see the label. I'll tell you why. I see the labels and I see the type of work and the orders that he's getting. There's a lot more in the packaging and say customization if you go that way. The labels are longer runs. They're more of the staple items. They're not changing, and unless you're unless you're an online label shop selling 200 labels. To me, that's not the label business. The label business, even on digital, is you're doing runs. You're not just changing up. It's not about the shipping. You're shipping commercial customers, right, or end users. But packaging is definitely on the fly up.
William?
Labeling. So I have a digital labeling system that I purchased about 16 months ago, and it has been one of our gangbuster products during the break. We've been doing more labels in the last 90 days than we've done in the last year and a half, and it's been awesome. But ironically, today I sent you, Deborah,
I know I'm on it. Yeah.
I need the smallest footprint digital packaging system that I can get. But again, I get 10 labeling requests to 1 packaging request, and that's still even being generous. It's probably more like 30 to 1. So labeling all the way.
Robert? Packaging
Okay,
or labels?
labels. I'm adding labels. They'll be coming out soon. I have a provider that's doing made a great pitch to have a variety of products that are available that I feel I can sell, particularly roll labels. So it goes to manufacturers because again, it's trade.
Mhm.
But may predict the future. With direct to object printing, I think a lot of label needs are going to go away. And I think it's a short play for labeling for a lot of people if they can pivot to it immediately. Will was forward thinking 16 months ago, got into it, can squeeze that stone for as much wine as possible. Or is it blood? Blood, yeah. Squeeze it for blood. But yeah, I think direct to object is really gonna take over what was the labeling issue. Because it's digital direct to object, you're going to find that it can hit just about any kind of container product, much like the garment industry has gone direct to garment. So I just see the path going that way. I give label bump another 18 months before it starts to really get the impact from the direct object.
Flexible packaging too. I don't know did anybody see the post
So,
about the peanut butter that comes in the squeeze thing now?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Sorry, but
Go ahead, Warren.
when we talk digital or we talk labels, we're talking a very broad range here. So when you say 18 months and then the label business will go down to the print on product, I'm saying absolutely out of the question, no way.
I concur with Warren.
Right. But it would depend on if you're just talking like glasses and selling on that, but you can't produce 20,000 bottles in the time that it takes and fill it with the printing. It's a different field.
Well, when you're talking about roll applicators with 20,000 roll labels compared to direct printing 20,000 pieces of a product, it's never going to compare. It's never gonna be a competitor for that.
And the labeling is all about the selling of the product.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I would say that, yes, that was what most web people who bought web equipment thought 25 years ago. Who's buying a web press now?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's my next speed round. Offset or inkjet? Robert, you take it.
Inkjet, sorry, offset. I'll answer as I did a print chat by Alanda. It covers the gap between the long run digital and the short run offset, and it has totally great quality. Now, the last time I saw an actual Lambda was at Drupa, so it's 4 years old, but apparently it's holding up. I can't believe they haven't sold more units, but maybe there's something else wrong I don't know about. Yeah, okay, that could be it. But the fact of the matter is that intellectually it fits.
Larry, offset or inkjet?
Oh, inkjet, no question. Because the development of with HP and also with Canon, I mean, they have got some fabulous inkjet equipment that's very economical, very fast, and very top quality work. And I think a lot of people have not gone to inkjet really yet because their whole workflow is still built on offset. And so it's going to have to be where they'll either change some of their workflow at pieces at a time with whatever equipment that they buy, is because they couldn't afford to come in and just change their whole system. But yeah, no, it's inkjet.
I also just have to say that, being in this new instant gratification mindset, like offset just a longer taking of a process. So I think that will also have some impact now as far as the adoption of it, the saving of time alone. Warren,
Deborah, time equals money. If it takes longer, it takes more money. I mean, make ready is the biggest enemy of litho.
Yeah, but you also have to have the money to take the next step to go in, and not a lot of people have the money or the human resources, financial resources. There are the few companies that can, and it works great for them. And again, it always depends on also where you are located and what your market is and what you can afford.
It's not the money if you have it. It's do you have the market to sell to? That's it.
William, offset inkjet.
Is that the question, offset inkjet? Because you started with web-fed versus inkjet.
Okay, you could pick whatever you'd like.
Well, web-fed is anything off of a roll. So you can go web-fed digital, you can go web-fed offset, you can go web-fed.
Okay, I said offset or inkjet. So if you want to apply WebPress to that offset situation.
No, I heard web-fed, but okay.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead. Answer your own question.
And again, hold on. I got to clarify one more thing. Is this equipment purchasing or just printing in general?
Jesus.
Equipment purchasing.
This isn't a dating thing, okay?
No, Will takes this very seriously. This is his jam.
If I have to buy a piece of equipment, I'm going to buy inkjet.
Why did it hurt you to say that? It hurt him.
And the only reason is because there's so much fucking steel on the ground for offset.
Yeah,
like
much iron.
I have 30 different
Way too
printers
much.
that I can get offset from, and none that I can get high volume inkjet. So if I have to buy one.
Not yet. You'll soon be able to get high volume from other people. Too.
5 years from now, yeah, inkjet all the way. But yeah, I'll answer inkjet.
Jamie the printer?
Killing me, Will. Killing me. Old school ink in my blood, ran Heidelbergs. I still love the iron. I love the Lando that Robert said. I've been following that since the beginning. Sooner or later, maybe they'll make it more out there, but I don't know. I'd love this is a tough one for me. I'm old school. We still have 4 offset presses. We have Indigo, we have Rico, but I'm still sticking with my offset because we still use it every day. It still runs every day. And we do a lot of direct mail.
And you make money on it.
Yes, it's paid off.
Right.
It runs every day.
It's paid off, that's why.
It runs beautiful.
That's why he likes it.
All 4 of them are. They run great. They all have
right.
the same letter in their name.
What does that mean?
Heidelberg. They all have an H on them.
Oh no, we lost
They
Will.
run great.
But I understand
I
that.
knocked Will off because he was thinking offset,
Yeah.
but he
Yeah,
went
really.
the other way.
Yeah,
come back.
he got embarrassed.
Don't make fun
But
of
yeah,
my
Robert,
co-host.
that Landa press, I've never seen it in person, but I've watched every video, everything. I think I've chatted with what's his name on Twitter. I can't remember his name now, but yeah, the thing seems amazing. But I'd like to see one in person.
It was pretty impressive in
like a
person.
spaceship.
As
Yeah.
was it looked like a spaceship, as was his demonstration, which wasn't a demonstration. It was like going to a Broadway show. There was
Well,
dancers,
yeah.
there was drummers. I mean, it was like P.T. Barnum was. It was pretty incredible. I want to turn now to events. I believe Robert and Warren, you were at the chat today at for the Crown Pub, and they were talking about virtual events. Were you there too, Jamie?
No, I wanted to. No power. It was crazy
Oh,
trying
that's
to
right.
log in. So
Some interesting thoughts there. I do have to say that the Brits are very interesting to me, in the fact that they're really traditionalists in I'm trying to be respectful when I say that, as to also mean that they're kind of stuck in their traditions too.
my
Some of the
relatives are over
things
there. You're talking about all of them.
Yeah.
some of the things that they say are really entertaining to me, in the fact that they will just defend this way of life, even though it's kind of like they're the only ones standing still and other people are kind of walking right by them. And I felt that a little today in the discussion about events. And this is the only way people can see things. And this is the only way people can have face-to-face meetings and see lots of things. And there is no value to just going to the manufacturer that you're interested and seeing that one. And every person that spoke, I was just like, my God, like, this is the moment to reset everything and really think about how much of this is necessary. And Robert, I actually use something you said at Print Chat whenever this topic comes up, which is how much longer, especially in this particular moment in time, are when people have to weigh risks, and there are inherent risks at the moment for large gatherings. How many people are going to be willing to risk anything to see ink sprayed on paper? That's essentially it. Now that leaves us with, do we need like a Drupa situation in America where every couple of years there's something worth going to because you can't see it anywhere else? So where do you think this is all going, and what do you think the state of events is in 2020? And I'm going to have to stack the deck here. We're talking about events. I'm going to have to ask Mr. Larry Vaughn first because he might know some stuff. Also, Will, I just want to make sure your mic is facing the right way.
It's facing. You want to make sure it's facing the right way.
No, I think it is. Remember you had that time it was twisted the wrong way?
Yeah. No, it's been this
Okay,
way the whole
perfect.
time.
Okay, Mr. Larry Vaughn, what is your thoughts
ma'am.
about events in 2020? We already know Think has pivoted to online, and D-Scoop moved, right? Or did they just cancel to next year? I forget now.
Well, of course, I'm not involved with D-Scoop as much as I used to be, but I think they're just going to cancel this move to next year. That's just my opinion on that. But definitely think we'll have another board meeting next week. We're definitely going to a virtual type conference, and the platform is fabulous. I think everybody will be quite pleased when they see how it functions and how it works. I just don't think you're going to see, in my opinion on it, I just don't think you're going to see the big trade shows like you used to. I just don't. I mean, and one of the reasons why is you're going to get more people educated in doing exactly what we're doing right here. It's easy. It didn't really cost me anything. Just sit here and you get to talk to everybody, get to see everybody. Now, of course, you don't get to have the handshake, hey, pal, how you doing? Let's grab a beer, let's talk about it, and then there's such and such, back across the other room, that you might see them, in the pub or in the bar. I think you'll still see, the shows, but I don't think they're going to be the size that they were. So, and they might not be every year. They might be every other year. It'll be changed up, but so far as like an online activity like we're doing now, or virtual chat, I think you're going to see quite a bit of that. And, just like Think is going to have a combination of both, I believe. It's kind of what we've been talking about. Where and then also we're going to have more local events, that we will go and help with Canon on those. So it's going to be different. It's going to be a lot different.
Will? Trade shows.
Trade shows have been on the downspin or the downward spiral for the last, 8 years. You've seen 10, Robert? I agree. They've been going down. You've seen the attendance reduce. You've seen the number of vendors reduce. I still think that they're always going to have a place. As a printer, I won't buy a piece of equipment unless I've seen it run in person. So you gotta be able to put hands on it. You gotta be able to see it run. You gotta be able to talk to someone while it's running, doing what it's gonna do. So there's always gonna be a place for shows, but I think the market is oversaturated, and you're gonna see it level off, because if they keep trying to do 10, 12 shows a year, some of the shows are going to fall off. They're not all going to be able to sustain.
As they
Amy?
should.
Oh, Robert, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the trade shows. I've attended way too many of them as a presenter, or, just usually exhibiting a variety of different things, from software to some equipment, not much. Not a big fan of equipment. But I think that their value is minimal. And I'm going to go back to the Zoom chat that was on today, focusing on that particular topic. And I'm not picking on the Brits, because it's true for the States as well. It was mentioned, I'm going to say 10 or 15 times by a variety of people. The term in Britain is pissed, meaning that they're drunk. And they try to make the sale before they get drunk. And because Larry mentioned, meeting up in the bar and things like that, it's a party. It's a boondoggle. And I don't really see any value to that. I'm not a drinker, so I don't, it doesn't attract me for that particular level. And so that I think that, I like a fine wine. Fair enough. But but going, traveling and spending that kind of money, does anybody attending the show realize that the cost of shipping that iron is baked into what they then have to pay? The customer is always paying for everything. And that just eludes everyone. No, we're going to give you some liquor to make it feel better. No, give me a better price, please.
Yeah. Well,
and
most of those presses are sold before they even get to the
Of course
shows.
they are. And they put the little placard up there. Oh, this one's already sold. Sorry, you can't have it. It's so fake. It's so snake oil. And I was involved in a couple of different equipment purchases from the business side. I had to validate the fact, yes, there is a market for this. If we get it, these people will buy the products we produce on this equipment. And one was this large 8-color Man Roland that they'd never made one with 8 units on it before. We were the first to ever do it. They didn't know how to do it. We sent somebody over to Germany to actually see how they would do it and make it work and test it. Took our files to them to run it through, which is what people do when they visit the manufacturer. You can't do that at a trade show. So a trade show is the most half-assed way to feature the equipment. Oh, look, we plug it in and the things turn. The cylinders are turning. Oh, look, sheets of paper are coming out. Great, I'll buy 3. No, it's just, bullshit, basically. So I don't see any point to it. Going to the manufacturer where they have the perfect environment to run it and say that if it's set up exactly like we did, you will get these results, great. But there isn't anybody who runs their machine at the fastest speed, at the fastest delivery, 24 hours a day, get the kind of numbers they're talking about. Do your projections on 60% capacity, because if you're really good salespeople, you'll fill it at 60%, but you got to make money there. I mean, come on. It's, the thing that we sold it on, I did a PowerPoint presentation. I think I sent you the video that was done, that they did, that Man Roland did, that we made a PowerPoint presentation, and the corporate offices, it was shock at the time, I could say it because they don't exist anymore. A shock at the time. The second page did the labor savings. It went from 5 people to run the old Heidelbergs that we had to 2. And you could actually run the press on 2. We saw it in Germany. You could run the press on 2 people. Now, where that fell apart, of course, is we were a union shop. So the union shop said, you're not getting rid of 3 people. But the fact of the matter is that that's what will sell something. Show us that it runs with 2 people in the perfect environment. If you can afford to create the perfect environment and you have the right client market base, this equipment is for you. Don't show it to me at a trade show where none of that can be actually factually backed up or demonstrated.
I mean, that is a valid point. I just want to add before we get to, I think, Jamie and Warren, that last year at Printing United, Will, Jamie, and I walked around together at sometimes. Sometimes Jamie was, texting us, telling us, he saw some stuff. And in being at the show and in randomly walking around, we found the coolest shit that we never would have known existed ever, ever, ever if we weren't walking through those back rows of that gigantic show. That's important. That discovery is important. That Dements thing, we will never forget that Dements printer that did
I'll have
textured
samples on my desk.
wide format. It was incredible. Or the robot arm. I mean, we had endless conversations about the things that we did not even know existed. So that factors into this a little, about why we might need a gathering space. Jamie, what are your thoughts on that?
Thanks for bringing it up. That's one of the things I was going to bring up because we went to Print United as shoppers this year. We had a list of things we wanted, looking for. We haven't filled all that list yet, but we know things that we were looking for and still want to get. And maybe there's something better coming up. But yeah, like we got the Swiss Q there. We knew what we wanted. We looked at all the other ones. We ended up getting that. I don't know. The place was giant. I know the next one's supposed to be bigger. Who knows what's happening with that now? But as you said, there was things we found that we weren't looking for. Like, what is that? What is that? Is that something that can be coming up? Let's keep an eye on that. There are certain trends. Sitting back and just looking and going, all right, these are the trends. Look who's at large format. Look who's here. Where's the crowd at? Are they all at HP's new textile? There was a lot of people there. So is it going to be fabric printing now? Just trying to sit back and watch and see where follow, like somebody said earlier, where's the money going? Who's going where? Who's spending what? So some of that's kind of interesting to kind of plan out. Is that in our 5-year plan or a 10-year plan? Is it going to be around that long? And I think you catch that at a show. You don't just,
How would you, if there wasn't a show, how would we learn about it, do you think? I mean, they would have to spend a lot of money on marketing. What do you think,
print
Warren?
chat.
Well, first of all, I think the shows are great. I don't expect to see big metal because I know what the cost is, but I think the shows are great for walking, for seeing, for talking to other people that you wouldn't otherwise find yourself in that area, even online. What I used to learn, or what I learned from things like that, is just off the charts. What I also like that they started to do about 10 years ago, and I remember when I bought a 56-inch KBA, I went to Germany, I saw it, they brought me and 20 other people, and it was the most spectacular thing. And ever since then, you've been seeing a lot of that. So I think there's an importance to both of them, right? And for the digital companies and the people that you saw that can pick their stuff up, pack it easy, that don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of an expenditure, they can make for a good show.
Yeah, I miss saddling up my horse and whipping it with a buggy whip and, all that stuff.
So what do you, so you just think they should go away all completely, or do they turn into only drupas so that every 4 years or 2 years there's something worth seeing besides, to your point, ink spraying on paper?
No,
What do you think?
Hold on, Robert. Hold on, Robert.
Sure, you go.
Your demographic, what you do, you are a trade printer, right?
You don't need it.
Correct? Trade
Sure.
printer?
Sure.
Okay. So every one of your competitors has a booth there, whether it's a 5x5, a 10x10. I think the smallest you can get at a show is 10x10.
Yeah.
Every one of your competitors has a booth space there. And again, I argue and I agree that the market is saturated, but I don't think it's ever going to go away. There's always going to be a place for the shows. Is there too many shows? Yes. Are the right shows in the right cities happening? Probably not. They need to be more strategic. They need to be more consolidated, and then they need to be
Absolutely.
bigger in volume and size. We need to be able to see more shit. Like Print United was great. I could see T-shirt. I could see wide format. I could see inkjet. I could see offset. I could see finishing. I saw everything in one show. So consolidation, fewer shows, more shit. You can't say that trade shows are cart and buggy, because they're not. There is always going to be a market and a place for meeting people face to face and seeing shit. Yeah, all the hoopla.
Well,
Yeah, let's
pardon
go
my
have drinks and
hyperbole, but
blah blah
yes, I
blah.
agree with that. I mean, it's great to go into a big store and see lots of different things. It is a bit of a department store mentality. Look what's happening to them, but there is a value to it. There's a value to see these things. I agree. It's overcapacity. There's too many of them, and nobody can afford to go to all of them. So, no, including the exhibitors. So I think
Especially
that,
the exhibitors.
well, yeah, because the customer's paying for it. So, a better price means something. Exposure, learning about new things as you described, sure, that's a great experience. To Will's point, absolutely, narrow it down. But there is no commanding authority, much less really any standards in printing. People call stuff different things all day long, and it's because of the marketing component to it. That's part of the edge. It's the snake oil. It's the black box that printing needs to shake off and go with what it is that they do. I have no problem with going to a show that has value, none whatsoever. It is exciting as you guys described it, and being there. But I've seen the death of the traditional show and the inability to move. And I will use the conference online that we had today as the example of it. They're sitting there wondering, oh, geez, I hope this COVID thing ends
Yeah.
and that we get back to Brexit
So
so
we
that we can
can
have our own
we can
British
get back
shows
to our
in
trade show.
Islington,
Yeah.
in some village that they live in. It's like, give me a break. It's backwards thinking, and that bothers me about the industry that is frankly just starting to embrace new technology, that the rest of the world, is much more nimble about accepting.
It is interesting to hear them and how they think about things. It is odd though, but to that they're seems so committed to this way of doing things, and this is the way we sell things. And I think a lot of the people on that chat are going to be in for a big surprise this year and next year. I'd like to end this on this topic, which is that when the pandemic first started and my printer chat co-hosts, Jamie the printer and Will the printer, were uh, changed what they were printing, and they started printing safety graphics and everything, I actually texted them and I said, go stand in front of something that you're printing right now related to COVID and send me a photo, because I want to start a Thank a Printer campaign. And that has turned into a video, which is now circulating. And the last thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, what have you seen that makes you proud to be a printer, whether it's in your own shop or the industry, or however you would like to answer that question? Will the printer?
I'd say,
Oh,
I'd
well,
say,
Warren, go ahead.
I would just say the way the people that were working stepped up to the plate and joined the team of, we need to do this for our community now. And it just went from that, and everyone got a great feeling, and that lasted till we all got tired of everything. But it was, we definitely took a good stab at doing that, and we were needed.
Will the printer?
I mean, we were essential, right? It was great to be needed. From my own experience, we were able to create something and do something that touched the community and brought people together and united people, which is awesome. And printing aside, it just was great to be involved with the community. So seeing more of that and steamrolling that or perpetuating that experience is what I'm really trying to do now.
Larry, what have you seen out there that's made you proud to be a printer these past few months?
Well, I'm just real proud of the staff that we have. And like I said before, a lot of these employees, they've been with me for a long, long time. One lady, she's been with me 44 years. She's still there. I asked her, I said, Susie, when you leave? And she says, when you do. So we're both still there. But, and also the management has really picked up. I mean, everybody kind of got together. I think a lot of it, is when we laid off or we furloughed about 40 people. Well, then everybody else is saying, man, that could be me. And so everybody just really stepped up, and there's not any bitching and complaining. I mean, they know what they got to do. And, if we don't have work, they go home, don't complain about it. If we got work, they stay and work. So I think that's what made me more proud than anything is just the staff that we have.
Thank you, sir. Robert?
I'm going to echo what Larry just said. The fact, because I deal not only with some, closely affiliated facilities, but also people I've never met. They all stayed on, they all worked, they all produced. And really, proud to be associated with people who are willing to do that kind of work and stick with it. And again, the camaraderie that kind of came out of it, like we need to do this, not just the saying that we're essential, but acting as though we are. It reminds me of a post 9/11. I was actually at Graph Expo in Chicago when that happened. Was there early and had no idea what was going on. I was meeting with HP, and we came out and it was a huge surprise. And how much tension there was, and how much people really decided that they all needed to work together somehow, if not to get home. People offering other rides, saying, well, we'll drive down there and drop you off. There's just a certain camaraderie. I think that's what people miss about the industry. And in England, I think that's part of what we witnessed today is they want that to stay. I'm afraid some of it's going to go away from what they're used to, but I still think that there's some merit to the industry and the people who work in it. Just to be
That's actually a great perspective to think about it. I was thinking about it as tradition, but part of that tradition is this is their community, and that's how it manifests, and they're trying to hold on to it in that manner. So that actually made it seem a little more reasonable to me that you positioned it like that. Jamie, the printer, what makes you proud to be a printer these days?
I think the biggest thing, I think Will said it, was we were essential. I think that even though every printer knew in their heart they were essential, to have everybody finally come out and say, we need you guys, we need this done. Being able to donate materials to people to make masks, being able to donate time in our shop to cut masks and do that stuff. That was all great in the beginning. We're still helping other customers do things and still with products like that. But, that was all awesome. That's probably one of the biggest things, and just seeing over the print community coming together, donating their time, donating their efforts. I think I saw online some of the printers, like thousands of masks and thousands of this going off to different hospitals and donating things. I think that was just a big part of it. Just was really good. That was the best part. And as Larry said, we have a great team. Our team has stayed together. We have almost 50 people in our 2 plants. We've kept them all in. Not everybody's there all 8 hours a day, but a lot of them are. Some of them have not taken off a day since this started. Some of them have. It's back and forth, but just to see our ownership and stick with everybody and just say, look, we're in it all together. We'll make it. We'll get through this. And that's probably what we've learned. That our team is good, and we like working together still, even though some of us are at home, some of us not. We chat every day. We have one of these sales meetings once a week with everybody. That's all new for us. We usually do it in a room. I don't know if we're going to all get in one room again. So we might be doing this for a while. So just being finally that everybody knows we're essential is probably my best part.
I know my team listens to this thing every once in a while, so I got to give a big shout out to my crew. I have the best team ever, and I couldn't have done anything that we've done in the last several months or ever without any of them. So big shout out to the Tampa Printer crew.
Big shout out to you too, Will, because you really did all you could in a struggling situation that you just opened up a new shop to keep them employed for as long as possible. And when you hit you weren't sure what was going to happen moment, you made sure that they were taken care of by getting them into the system when you could. So honestly, you really did an amazing job and did not have to. I mean, these were brand new employees and you felt responsible for them. You just opened up your new store. You just hired these people. I mean, it was really incredible what you did, and really what everyone has done in the printing industry. It is why, Morton and I from Inkish made the video, and we just really wanted to celebrate the fact that the printing industry did something that won't ever be recognized, by the greater good of, mankind at the moment, and of course there's other things going on now, but it is important that at least we know we did it, and also that the families know there were sacrifices that were made. There were people going to work when they were told that's not such a great idea, but things had to happen. People needed to be safe, and printers put other people before themselves. And that has equal merit as any other essential worker out there. And, we don't have commercials on TV, and there's no days dedicated to us, although I, do have International Print Day. But so thank you all so much on this panel. Thank you all so much out there in the printerverse who are listening for everything you did. It's really important. And I will put the contact information for everybody on this panel in the video information as well. I'm going to turn it into a podcast. It will be there as well. It will be filed under the Printer Chat podcast, where I regularly have conversations with my two co-hosts who are on this chat, Jamie the Printer from DMR Graphics and Will Crabtree from TampaPrinter.com. And for us and for everybody here on this panel, stay safe, stay healthy, stay calm, and get back to work, everybody.
Likewise.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
guys.
Thanks, Deb.
Yeah,
Thanks, Morgan.
thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
Larry.
Nice
Thanks,
seeing everybody.
Robert.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, everybody.
Aaron.
God.
Robert.
Take care.
Have a good night.